Okay, so we're gonna go over the test here, or I mean, sorry, the review. And so take out a pen so that you can kind of grade this. This is on completion, but just so you could see what your score would have been on this, because these are very comparable to the types of things you'll see on the test on Monday. So then here are the answers. This is just testing your vocabulary from section 4.1. This first one, nothing's marked, so it's scalene, and you see a right triangle, so that was your right scalene. This one you can tell is an obtuse angle, and it's got two congruent sides, so then that's obtuse scalene. All the sides are marked the same, so that's acute equilateral. We could also say, it could have said equiangular equilateral, because remember all three angles inside of an equilateral triangle will all be the same, and more specifically, they'll all be 60 degrees, so that's the acute part. And then this one is acute isosceles, so that was A. And then this one, no sides are marked scalene, and it's obtuse because it has an obtuse triangle or obtuse angle. Okay, so that would be 1 point each. So number one would be worth 5 points. Okay, a problem like number two would be worth 5 points. You've got 4 blanks that you have to fill in, and then you need to show your work. And so if you need to draw yourself a picture, you can, but we're given this triangle ABC, and they tell you what A represents, B represents, and C represents. So that means those are all the interior angles. And so the triangle sum theorem in section 4.1 said that if you add up all of the interior angles of a triangle, they have to equal 180 degrees. And so you do that, do the math, you get x equals 20, and then when you plug 20 back in for all the x's here, you will get these angle measures for the angles. Okay. And you can pause and you can stop, but make sure you get through all of this before the end of the block. So you could always go back and watch this on Brightspace because this is posted on Brightspace. Number 3 would also be worth 5 points. They give you a picture, 1 point for your work, and then 1 point for each of these blanks over here. So this is testing the exterior angle theorem from section 4.1. So this exterior angle is going to add up to equal the sum of the two non-adjacent interior angles. So this plus this equals this. And so then you solve, get x equals 40, and then you plug that back in. They wanted to find the measure of angle A is this one. So 2 times 40 plus 20 is 100. CBA, CBA is this angle right here. So you could find C first and do 40 plus 10 is 50, then add the 100 and the 50 to get this interior angle here, which is angle CBA right here. So then that would be 1 point for each blank and then 1 point for showing your work. If you show your work but you get these wrong, that's okay. You still get that point for the work, but then just mark which ones you got wrong. So then if you're keeping track per page, that page is out of 15 points. Okay. All right, then on the back, number 4. Number 4, this problem is worth 14 points total for each, total if you add up all the parts. And so on this first one, they marked a couple things for you, but then you could mark vertical angles, so you get 1 point if you marked that in addition to what was already marked. Then this is angle side because you have 2 angles and then the side not the side only touching one of the angles, not both angles, so that's why it's not angle side angle. It's angle side. And then some sort of congruent statement where the B and the F match, the D's match, and the C and the E matches. Okay, so that's 3 points for part A. Part B is also worth 3 points, so they mark some things for you. Then you can mark reflexive on AC, so that's worth 1 point if you did that. And then side, 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 and then ADC, ABC. Don't forget the triangle marks. Some of you, when I graded your quiz, you forgot triangle marks. You miss half a point for that. So if you did that here, you would also need to take off half a point for yourself. Okay, so here the A's match, the D and the B match, and then the C's match in whatever order you did it in. Okay, part C, you marked vertical angles again. That's all you could mark, so that's plus 1 point for that. SAS, you've got the two sides, two pairs of sides, and then the angle where those two sides intersect, so that's SAS. And T matches with W, U with X, and the V's match up. So that's 3 points for part C. Part D is only worth 2 points because when you mark what you can, so you mark this side, WY, so that's reflexive, you get a point, but these are not congruent. We do not have an angle side-side. Okay, that does not work, so that's not congruent. And then part E, they marked right angles for you. They marked these congruent sides. What you can mark is reflexive, so on KM, give yourself a point. And then this is hypotenuse leg. So it looks like angle side-side, but this is a special case that works. If that angle is a right angle, and then you've got the hypotenuse, the side across from that angle, and then you've got one of the legs, which is one of the sides touching the right angle, that's hypotenuse leg. Okay, and then if you had the K's match up, the M's match up, and then L matches with N in whatever order you did. So part E is worth 3 points. So all of them are worth 3 points except for part D, which is only 2 points, and so that's why this whole problem number 4 is worth 14 points. Okay. All right, number 5, the proofs, which actually you guys' proofs quizzes look really good. So on this one, this was section 4.6, it's basically what we were doing before. So you always mark your picture with the given information. So that was my single and my double slashes. And then you look at your picture, is there anything else you can mark? And so we could mark this segment right here congruent. And then you can see here that this is congruent by side, side, side. And so now you fill in your blanks. And so especially if this is all blank, it's pretty easy though. Your given statement and then your given reason, number 1. The last statement is always what you're trying to prove. And we already figured out why it is because it's side, side, side. So then you put that there. So then the only missing thing that you would have is the middle. And so that means that your hint on what to put there is whatever you marked in your picture extra. And so we marked extra because we could be by reflexive property that segment CA is congruent to segment CA. Or if you wrote it as segment AC is congruent to segment AC, that would be okay as well. And so your picture is worth 1 whole point, and then each blank is worth half a point. So that's where I got the 4 from on this one. So if you missed one of these, it's not a full point, it's just a half point that you missed. Okay. Then number 6, another proof. Only this is one where you've got to put the Roman numerals, the statements, and the reasons in order. So we did some like that in your notes. So angle C and angle D are right angles, so you needed to put boxes there. AD is congruent to BC, so you put the slashes there. And then the other thing you can mark is that this triangle and this triangle both share segment AB. So I marked that as well. So you get 1 point still for marking your picture. Then we want to put these in order. So then the given comes first, so that's 2, and that was letter B. Now you actually can switch these around. So I put 4 here where you could say that these are right triangles, and that's just definition of right triangles. And the reason why they're right triangles because its definition of right triangle says the triangles have 1 right angle, and they already told you that in the given. So then 4 matches with D, and then you could say the reflexive 1 matches with C, and then you're proving that they're congruent, the triangles are congruent by HL. That's a hypotenuse leg. Now, if you switch these around, then you would have had 1C and 4D here, okay? Which would have been okay. And again, it's half a point each blank and 1 whole point for your picture. So this problem was worth 5 points. So you can put how many you have right out of 5 on there. Okay, number 7, another fill in the blank. Okay, so we mark our picture with the given information. So angle B is congruent to angle C, so I put single arcs there. X is the midpoint of segment AD. It doesn't say X is the midpoint of this segment BC. It says X is the midpoint of segment AD. So remember how we marked that? We put slashes on both sides. And then that's the given information. The extra piece that you can mark is the vertical angles. Okay, and that's all you can mark. You can't assume these are parallel and do some other Z stuff. All right, so number 1 is given. So, and notice they only put part of the given there, okay? So then you get to use given again. So given there, then angle AXB was congruent to angle DXC because of vertical angles, so vertical angle theorem. Then notice they put the other part of the given on step 3, which is fine, so then that's just another reason for given. And then the reason why we marked AX congruent to DX was definition of midpoint. Then the triangles are congruent. This is angle, angle, side. It's not angle, side, angle because the side is not directly between the two angles. Touching both angles, it's only touching one angle. So that's why it's angle, angle, side. And then remember when we go one step further, that's CPCTC. And that stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So once I know the triangles are congruent, anything else not marked in the picture, all those corresponding pieces will be congruent to each other. So again, this one I did 1 point for each blank and then 1 whole point for your picture. So then this one came out to be 7 points. So 1 whole point for each blank and then 1 point for your picture. So that was 7. So if you're keeping track, this page was out of 12. The second page, I didn't say, the second page we just got done grading was out of 18 points. And then on the back, number 8 was another one of those put them in order things. So mark your picture. BAC is congruent to DAC, that's my single arcs. And then angle B is congruent to angle D, that's my doubles. And then I could also mark this reflexive in there, so the picture's worth 1 point. If you marked extra, I would take off half a point for the extras that you marked because you don't mark the prove stuff. Then we put it in order, so the given goes first, so that's 3C. The second thing we have to put is the reflexive piece. The third thing we need to put is that the triangles are congruent because of angle, angle, side. And then the last thing is what we're trying to prove, and that goes with CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So that one is half a point each blank and then 1 full point for the picture. So that's where the 5 points came from for number 8. And then on number 9, altogether this will be out of 6 points. And so part A, you know that these two angles are congruent, therefore the two sides that are congruent are the 3x and the x plus 10. So I set those equal to each other, so this 2x plus 5 is extra info. 3x equals x plus 10, 2x is 10, so x is 5. Okay? So again, do not add up 3 sides of a triangle and try and say they equal 180 degrees because sides do not equal degrees. All right, on B, you've got isosceles. X is here. You know this is 25. So do 180 minus 25, and then take that answer and cut it in half. So you get 77.5, or if you put it as a fraction, which I don't know how many of you really did that, it would be 155 divided by 2. On this one, you have an equilateral triangle, so that means all the angles are equal to each other. So then if you take 180 divided by 3 angles, that means each angle has to be 60 degrees. So x is 60 degrees. And then here, these two sides are congruent, so then that means the opposite angles from them have to be congruent. So you set 2x equal to the 4x minus 24. So then I subtracted 2x and got negative 2x equals negative 24. So when I divide, I get x is positive 12. So each part is worth 2 points except for B and C. B and C are just worth 1 point each because there was x's were standing alone. Here, though, if x is not standing alone, you have to show work. Okay, so A is worth 2 points, work and answer. B is 1 point, B is 1 point, C is 1 point. And then D is worth 2 points, 1 point for your work and your answer. So this is out of 11 points on this page. So then the whole practice here was out of 56 points, which is comparable to what your test will be out of on Monday. And so go ahead and add up how many you had right out of 56 and figure out what your percent was. The sub's going to come around and take down that you've finished this. This is a completion grade, but this score at least gives you an idea of what that you could have gotten. And I just recommend that maybe if you need to, watch over this again and do your repetitions because I will be collecting your notebook for test day.